The sun was melting into the horizon, spilling gold across the endless stretch of prairie when Thomas Baker rode his old mule into the dusty town of Coyote Bend. He was a quiet drifter, a man whose eyes had seen more roads than people, and whose tongue had forgotten the sound of laughter. Folks said he came from the north, maybe from Kansas, maybe further, no one knew. All they knew was that he didn't talk much and worked harder than 10 men. He found himself fixing fences, cleaning barns, and keeping to himself at the old Carson Ranch, where the land stretched so far it looked like it touched the heavens. But that evening, his fate took a turn when she walked into his life, a woman taller than most men, her shadow long and proud under the fading sun, a cowgirl with fire in her step and thunder in her eyes. They called her Big Jessie, not because of her size alone, though she stood 6 feet 2 and could swing an axe like a giant, but because of her presence. When she rode, horses obeyed. When she spoke, even storms seemed to pause. She was the Carson Ranch's heart, the boss's daughter, and every ranch hand's secret fear and fascination. Esther's Thomas had heard of her long before he saw her. The men in the bunkhouse whispered stories of how she once stopped a charging bull with a single lasso throw, how she drank whiskey with outlaws and beat them at cards, how she never let any man near her heart or her lips. But those were just stories. What he didn't expect was how she'd look at him that day, as if the quiet man with a shy smile was suddenly the only soul alive in Coyote Bend. Jessie came to him while he was tightening a loose gate post near the corral. "You the new hand?" she asked, her voice deep and teasing. He nodded, wiping the sweat from his neck, unsure if he should meet her gaze. "Yes, ma'am. Just trying to keep the fence from falling again," Jessie smirked. "You don't have to call me ma'am. Makes me feel like my mother." "Call me Jessie." Her eyes glinted mischievously, and Thomas felt something stir inside him, a nervous flutter he hadn't felt since he was a boy. He didn't know what to say, so he simply nodded again, keeping his eyes down. Jessie laughed, a rich sound that rolled like thunder through the air. "You don't talk much, do you?" she said, leaning against the post beside him. "No, ma'am, I mean." Jessie, he STAMMERED. For the next few weeks, Jessie found excuses to be around him. She'd ride up beside him while he was fixing the barn roof or join him at the water trough, asking questions about his past. He'd tell her little his parents were gone, he never had a family, and the road was his only friend. She'd listen with quiet fascination, her large hands resting on her hips, her hat tilted low to hide the strange softness that came to her face when he spoke. There was something about Thomas that disarmed her. He didn't treat her like a legend, didn't flinch when she towered over him, and didn't chase her with flattery like the others. He just saw her. One evening, when the sky turned violet and the smell of rain drifted over the hills, Jessie found him alone in the barn, mending a saddle strap by lantern light. She stepped inside quietly, her boots sinking into the hay, and watched him for a moment. The glow of the lantern painted his face in warm gold, and she realized he was handsome in a quiet, unassuming way. "You always this serious?" she asked, breaking the silence. Thomas looked up, startled but smiling faintly. "Work keeps me out of trouble," he said. Jessie grinned, walking closer. "Trouble's not always a bad thing." Esther's key chuckled nervously, setting the strap aside. "Depends what kind of trouble you mean." Jessie tilted her head, studying him. "The kind that makes your heart beat faster," she said, her voice lower now. He froze, unsure what to say. "You ever been kissed, Thomas?" she asked suddenly. He blinked. "What?" She stepped closer, her boots crunching softly on the hay. "You heard me. You ever been kissed?" His throat went dry. "No," he said quietly, his gaze falling. "Can't say I ever had much reason to." Jessie smiled slow, curious, almost tender. "You're telling me," she said, stepping so close he could feel the warmth of her breath. "A man like you's never been kissed?" He shook his head, barely whispering. "No, ma'am." Jessie's grin faded into something gentler, something unexpected. "Well," she murmured, her blue eyes shimmering in the lamplight. "Reckon it's about time someone fixed that." Esther's Thomas's heart hammered in his chest as she lifted her hand, brushing a strand of his hair away. Her touch was surprisingly soft, contradicting the calloused hands of a woman who worked the land as hard as any man. She hesitated for just a second, reading his eyes, searching for fear. But what she found was trust, and that was all the permission she needed. When her lips met his, it wasn't like in the stories, the ones that spoke of fireworks and violins. It was slow, warm, and alive, like sunlight melting frost. For a man who had wandered for years, it felt like coming home. When they parted, Jessie looked at him, half smiling, half shaken. "Guess that wasn't so bad, huh?" she whispered. He smiled, breathless. "No, Jessie, not bad at all." They both laughed softly, awkwardly, like two kids caught doing something innocent yet forbidden. But deep down, something shifted between them that night. Over the next few days, Jessie seemed quieter, thoughtful. The ranch hands noticed how she glanced toward the barn or lingered near the water trough, hoping to catch a glimpse of Thomas. He, too, felt the weight of that kiss lingering like a dream he couldn't forget. But not everyone on the ranch was happy about it. Jessie's father, Old Man Carson, was a proud man who'd built his fortune from nothing. He wanted his daughter to marry a landowner, not a drifter with no name or past. When he found out Jessie had been spending time with a new hand, he called Thomas to his office. "I don't know what game you're playing, son," he said coldly. "But my daughter's not some wildflower you can pick and leave. You stay away from her, or you'll be ridden out of here tonight." Thomas nodded silently, hat in hand. He had no fight in him, he'd been chased away before. So he packed that evening, planning to leave before dawn. But as fate would have it, Jessie found him saddling his mule under the stars. "You're leaving?" she demanded, her voice trembling with anger. "Your father said," he began, but she cut him off. "To hell with what my father said," she snapped. "You think you can just walk away after that kiss?" He looked at her, his chest heavy with pain. "You deserve someone better, Jessie. Someone who can give you a home, not a road." She stepped forward, grabbing his arm. "You fool," she whispered, tears glinting in her eyes. "I don't want a home. I want you." Before he could respond, thunder cracked across the sky, and the heavens opened up with rain. Jessie didn't move. She reached up, pulling him down into another kiss, rain streaming down their faces, lightning flashing behind them. It was wild, desperate, and beautiful, the kind of kiss that defied the world. When morning came, Old Man Carson found them standing side by side in the corral, soaked and muddy, but unbroken. Jessie lifted her chin, her voice strong. "If he goes, I go too." The old man's face softened for the first time in years. He looked at his daughter, then at the quiet drifter who stood beside her, and finally sighed. "You got guts, boy," he muttered. "Fine. But if you hurt her, I'll bury you in the north pasture." Thomas just nodded. "Yes, sir." Jessie smiled through tears, grabbing his hand. And from that day on, the legend of Big Jessie and the shy drifter spread through Coyote Bend like wildfire. A story about courage, love, and the kiss that changed everything. So if you ever find yourself wandering through the dusty trails of Coyote Bend, and you hear the wind whispering through the hills, remember the tale of the giant cowgirl and the man who'd never been kissed. Because love doesn't ask about height, strength, or pride, it just finds you when you least expect it. If you love this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel.